welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and I'm the Clumsy Stitcher here on YouTube and over on Instagram. If you are new here, very warm welcome to you. If you are returning, thank you very much for coming back after quite a long stretch away. This is my channel where I talk all things cross stitch, and I have got quite a lot to show you all today because holy shit, it has been a long time since I've been on YouTube. I didn't realise it had been quite so long. But I just looked at my channel quickly before and saw that my last video is actually the 15th of May, which, seeing as today is the 23rd of September, is about just over 4 months now. Sorry if there's a bit of background noise. My cat has just started playing on the floor in front of me. So I had to pause there because she was just running around a bit. I think she might just be going a bit crazy while I film this. But yeah, so it's been a while since I filmed. I'm not going to make any excuses. I think what I'm going to do is, because there's been quite a lot going on, I think what I'm going to do is take you through my stitching chronologically since my last video, rather than grouping them in like FFOs, WIPs or whatever, because I'll just do a bit of life update in between, and I think it will help me figure out in my head what's been going on as well, because I think when I was going through my kind of list of WIPs and when I finish things, I remember it differently. I think time has just become a bit, I don't know, wibbly wobbly or whatever. I'm not quite sure what's happened. So that's the plan. Before we get into everything, you may notice my setup looks a little bit different. I've realised it probably just looks like everything's a bit closer because we've still got the same sofa and blanket and picture. But we are actually in a completely different location. In the 4 months since I've been off, we have actually moved house, and so I will go into that a little bit later on. So last time we caught up, I think I'd introduced a new start, which was Summer at the Shore by Cottage Garden Samplings, and I was stitching that for a friend. I finished that for her because she was moving into a new house and I wanted her to have it to hang in her new house, so it was on a bit of a deadline, and I finished it while I was down in Cornwall because I was staying with my parents and I went to go and visit her, and I was so convinced that I was going to film a Flosstube on my normal filming schedule. I actually filmed my FFO, fully finished object of the piece that I gave to her, and so I will insert that in here now. Obviously it's been quite a while, so I don't really remember what I said, but I hope it all fits in together. So yeah, I'll just stick that in there now. Hello. So I have never done an insert video before, so I have literally no idea how I have linked this part to what I was saying, but hello from the past, I suppose. Doing a classic Beth Chadwick and introducing past Sarah. So this is to show you my finished or fully finished Summer at the Shore piece. However, you will notice that I am in a very different location than where I literally was a second ago. It's because I'm filming this from my parents' house because I've come down for the long bank holiday weekend. I'm filming this quite hurriedly on my lunch from work, so I hope it all fits together okay. But I think the first thing I have to explain or show are these incredible horses that my mum stitched. So I said in my introductory video, what was it, a year and a bit now, Mum was one of the people that got me most interested in cross stitch. Both her and Dad have stitched for all of my life, as far as I'm aware. And so our house is filled with cross stitch pieces. But I just thought I would do a quick, I've been trying to get these filmed for ages, but because of the frame, I can never get a good shot because there's just so much reflection. So I will continue to try, but in the meantime, I hope you can enjoy these while I'm talking about my cross-stitching. These are, I'm going to have to put it in on the bottom because I will know the brand when I read it, but it's escaped me. But they're a set of 4 carousel horses going from spring, summer, autumn, winter, and they are just absolutely incredible. There's so much detail in there. There's like quarter stitches, half stitches, beading, couching, there's blending filaments, and they are all just absolutely incredible. So hopefully I will be able to get a close-up shot of these, but I just wanted to have them in the background while I'm filming this, because I just think they're so gorgeous. But enough about my mum's stitching. It's now time for me to show you my fully finished Summer at the Shore. Very proud, very pleased that I was able to get this done. I showed in my last video, I think I just started on the wing of the seagull in the Summer at the Shore piece by Cottage Garden Samplings. And I believe I said I was doing it for a friend's housewarming present because they've recently just bought a house. And so there was a deadline on this, as that this is the deadline today, because I haven't seen her for quite a while and I've arranged to meet up with her while I'm back at home. So I have worked on this solidly for 3 weeks, essentially. I've just checked my Google spreadsheet tracker thing, and I started this on the 4th of May and finished it on the 28th, which is the Saturday just gone. So I think it's the quickest I've stitched something for a long time, apart from maybe the Christmas ornaments I did last year. So it was good. It's been really good to focus on one piece and get something finished. It feel very accomplished, but I do miss my WIPs a little bit now, so I'm glad to get back to them. But here is my FFO. Da, 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 da. I absolutely love this. I couldn't get the lighting quite right, so I'm worried it's showing up a bit dark, but that is what I've done. And so I have had a bit of a disaster with the framing, I'm not going to lie to you. I bought a 5x7 frame because I measured it, and I bought a 5x7 frame online, and I measured it before I'd finished it because of the timeline I used to get it finished by. And so I bought a 5x7 frame, and I checked that it said that the inside, it wasn't the actual frame size or whatever. But it turns out, what I didn't realise, I'm just going to take the sewing out quickly and show you, on the inside of the frame, that you can see that little ridge there. And so it's meant that it is cutting off a bit of my stitching, which is a little bit frustrating, but given the time frame, it is what it is. And I really like the frame, and I still think it looks really good in the frame. But here is the kind of finished object outside of the frame, just so you can see all of the detail and all of the starfish. Like I said, I have been rushing a bit, and so I've just basically done like pins around the outside. I've got some foam board, put pins around the outside, and then I've done a very quick lacing just to kind of keep everything tapped down so that I could fit the back on. So it's very basic, a little bit clumsy maybe, but I think it looks really nice still. But that is the full piece. So very quickly, changes that I made. I changed the very end of the tail to DMC 310 because it is in honour of a greater black-backed gull that my friend adores. So I just wanted to kind of stress the black-back particularly. I also changed the light because that was originally in this white, it's not DMC Blanc, it's 3865 I think. And so I changed that to the yellow in the beak because it just looked more lighthousey to me. And what else have I changed? I swapped around a couple of these colours because I was being so picky. This one was a yellow originally, and I didn't like the yellow next to the beak, and so I just swapped it with the grey. It's so silly, but I really like how it's turned out. And then the big change is in the sea, this variegated colour. In the chart, it's a Gentle Arts thread that they recommend, but I didn't have this, and so I decided to use the Owl Forest blue. I think it's 3822. If it isn't, I'll put in a little grab of the colour. I showed it in my last video, and I just think it looks stunning. I absolutely love this. I just think it looks absolutely amazing. And so when I stitch it again for myself, and I will be stitching this again for myself, I'm going to use that same blue because I just think it looks absolutely lovely. And so let me just pop it back in the frame, and I can show you again as the fully finished item. So you can see it cuts off a little bit, but I still think it looks really nice, and I'm sure my friend is going to love it still. And I just like the worn look of the frame. I think it's a bit driftwoody, but obviously a bit darker. So yes, I am so pleased, so pleased with how this has come out, and I can't wait to stitch it again. Okay, that's enough Summer at the Shore. I will send you back to Future Sarah now, and she can keep chatting to you about what else she's got on with. Hopefully that's all fitted in okay. In that little break bit then, I have just composed myself slightly. I think I'm quite excited to be filming again. I'm also feeling quite nervous and a little bit awkward, and I think I'm just speaking way too fast. So I've taken a breath. I've also popped my stitching light up because the clouds keep crossing in front of the sun, and I'm a bit worried about the lighting. So hopefully this will work. So yes, I finished Summer at the Shore on the 28th of May. And then I was still down in Cornwall because it was the long bank holiday weekend. So I think actually I shared a picture on Instagram of me stitching on Hello Sunshine in the sunshine, because it was absolutely glorious while I was down there. And while I was down there, I was able to finish. So this is Hello Sunshine from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. I got the kit, so this is stitched on a 28 count even weave with the kit threads, stitched 2/2. I absolutely love these charts. I love the colours in this one. I love the animals. The birds are just fantastic. And this means now that I have 3 of the seasonal trees done by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. So I've got autumn done, winter, and now summer, and I've just got spring left. I won't finish them until I've got the spring one done, because I want to just get them all finished together so they all look the same. Still not decided how I'm going to do it, because I've seen lots of people framing them with a white frame, which I think looks really nice. I like the idea of a hanging, like a wall hanging. So, or I could make a cushion. I just really don't know. I do love a cushion. But that is where they are. Just absolutely love this. So yeah, I finished that one 4th of June. Oops. While I was still in Cornwall. And then basically didn't pick up stitching for 2 months. I got back from Cornwall back to Manchester and didn't open my Stitchy Instagram, didn't go on like Stitchy, I didn't go on any Flosstube, and basically just didn't stitch until the next project that I'll show. I think now I'll just do a quick story time now, and I'll put chapters in this video so that if you don't want to listen to the story time, then you can see when the next stitchy bit is. So June and July, I think they were just really busy months for me personally at work. I won't bore you with details, but it was a lot of working before work and after work and weekends, and so I didn't have that much free time available anyway. Alongside all of the work stress, we, being my husband and I, were house hunting, because during COVID we decided that we just didn't really want to be in a city centre anymore. We'd been in Manchester for I'd been there for 6 years, my husband had been there for 7, and we just wanted a little bit more freshness, bit of greenery. We really wanted a garden because we were in a flat, and so we just had this little balcony, which when you're surrounded by cranes and trains isn't really very fresh. So yeah, we just wanted out, and then we were thinking a little bit more about whether Manchester was even the place for us. And so finally we decided that we were going to move to Edinburgh, which is where we now are, which is really exciting. My husband's family are in Edinburgh. We visited Scotland quite a lot. My husband is Scottish, and we've been around a little bit, not loads, but we're hoping to have the opportunity to do that now that we're here. And once we decided that, we started looking for a house to move into. So we were looking to buy, and if anybody in the UK has bought a property in the last 2 years, you will understand how mental it is and how frantic certain parts of it are. And so everything was just selling so quickly. As soon as you saw a house that you liked, it was already under offer, and it was quite difficult because we couldn't come, because we were 4 hours away, we couldn't just come up and view properties easily, and so it was getting quite difficult for us. And basically, this is at mid-July now, we'd asked my parents-in-law to go and view a house for us, and a bit spur of the moment, my husband booked off that day from work, not to go up to Edinburgh to look at the house, but we chatted about it a bit, and we're like, well, if we can book in a few more viewings, then you may as well go and look while your parents are looking around some houses. So he ends up going to Edinburgh, looks at a few houses, comes back, he's like, I found the house. Found the house, I know where we're going to live. And I was like, oh, fantastic, because we had been really struggling. And so we booked in another viewing for the following weekend so that I could go up, because I was still absolutely rammed at work. I just had so much to do that I couldn't take a day off and to come up and view the house. So we were going up on the Saturday. And my mother-in-law hadn't seen it before, so she booked in to go and see it on the Tuesday. So she rocks up, and the seller is talking about how she's already had an offer and how she's got 7 viewings booked over the next 2 days. And alarm bells started going off because we've been in this situation before, and we just knew that she would have an offer and have accepted an offer by the time we had even viewed the house, and that we would, if we waited until the Saturday, we would never get to see it, basically. And my husband had fallen in love with the house. He knew exactly what we wanted. He knew that the house that he'd seen would be the place, basically. And so we decided to put an offer in, and I wouldn't say I'm a control freak necessarily, but I don't find it easy relinquishing control very often. And so this made me feel, I obviously I trusted him. Oh, sorry, not the table. Trusted him fully, but it was quite stressful with all of the unknowns and all of that stuff. But we put in an offer, and it was actually accepted on my 30th birthday, so it all felt like falling into place. But yeah, it was all very, very stressful. Like if you know house hunting, is just it's really exciting, but there's so many caveats, it feels like now, that you can't get too excited, and so you just kind of get the stress. But then once we had the offer accepted, it was then, oh God, we got to prepare to move house. And because it was a really short, in Scotland, everything moves really quickly. And so we had 6 weeks to be out of Manchester and into Scotland. So yeah, it was just a lot going on. I think looking back now, I was probably incredibly burned out with work and everything. And I didn't have very much free time, but when I did, I started playing Stardew Valley again, which is a farming game, but there's also all these fishing and mining and combat stuff. And I was obsessed with the game 6 years ago, and it just completely ensnared me again. It's had a few updates, and so it was just, there was loads of new things to find. And I think basically, because there was so much stuff going on in life and work and everything, it just felt like with stitching, it was just another thing to make decisions about, which I don't know if this just kind of speaks to how overwhelmed I maybe was at the time, but it just felt like, oh, well, if I work on this one piece of stitching, I can't work on this one piece of stitching, and if I don't work on that piece of stitching, then it's not going to get done for 15 years, kind of thing, talking about my dragon. So I just felt paralysed by indecision, basically, and it all just, when a hobby starts to feel stressful, just don't really want to get involved with it. So I fell into Stardew Valley and just became completely obsessed again, because there's no consequences to that. If you have a bad day, you just have a bad day and you restart the day and it's fine. And so I think that was, I think basically that was what was going on in my brain. And so we had the offer accepted. I get my deadlines out of the way at work, and this first weekend of August, we went to go and visit some friends, and it was the first weekend in ages where I felt like I could actually just fully relax, not check my emails, not do any work, and actually just have a drink in the sun and just chill. And it was really, really lovely. And so I think that kind of helped my brain to get out of stress mode and hyper-focused work mode. And so we came back, and I picked up some stitching again, and decided to pick up one that it's been on my WIP list for ages. I've wanted it finished for a while. We were really excited about moving into the new house, and I thought that this would look really nice in our guest room, because we actually have a guest room now, which is exciting. And so I picked it up and I decided, you know what, just work on this until it's finished, and then at least, if nothing else, you'll have finished one thing. The WIP that I picked up, which is now a finish, is this piece. So this doesn't really have a name, but it's from a shop called Terra Stitch on Etsy, and it's called Boho cross stitch, and it's got a number, I think. I will link it all down below. But I really, really like this pattern. Some are a bit wobbly. So this was also my first time stitching on 40 count linen. So this is 40 count, 1/2, stitched with a called for DMC. And I finished this the 10th of August. And I'm picturing, I've seen a frame on Etsy where it's like this thick black round frame just to go round here. And if it fits, then it'll be really good. So I was really, really chuffed to get that finished. Still wasn't fully into stitching. It was, once I finished this, I did take a bit of a break again. But that was another finish. So I really, really chuffed, because was able to, basically just got 3 finishes. And then I went back down to Cornwall to spend another week with my family, and got to see my best friend who had had a second baby in May. So her first child is my goddaughter. So went round to dinner with them, got to see the new baby, got to see my goddaughter, got to see my best friend and her husband, and it was just really, really nice to see them. When my goddaughter was born, I did a cross stitch for her, which was a Winnie the Pooh kit, with a little saying underneath. And I wanted to do one for the new baby as well, but I did want to check with my friend, because I think she's now got 3 cross stitches of mine, and I'm a bit hesitant to fill her house with my cross stitch. So I found a piece that I really wanted to do for the new baby, and that is, and I got this online, I got this from eBay, and that is Mirabilia's Crescent Dreams. So I was inspired to do this by Jessie Marie Does Stuff. I saw her finish of this last year, or earlier this year. Really, really liked it. I just thought it was absolutely gorgeous. I didn't realise the chart was out of print though, and so it took a little while for me to find it, and I was basically scouring eBay quite regularly. So that is what the final picture will look like. And so when I was down in Cornwall, it seemed like a perfect time to get this started. And this is my progress. I don't remember what direction this is supposed to be in. I think this is the right way. Sorry, I am very out of practice. Here we go. So I've just started on the blanket, basically. And then if I take this back, I suppose, yeah, I think you can see it is bluey pinky fabric. Maybe showing up a little bit darker than in real life, but this is a Chromatic Alchemy I still absolutely love. It's the 32 count Ether, AETHER. Just, I think it's absolutely lovely, and I think it's going to look gorgeous with the yellow moon on the side. And so I just need to find a little quote to put underneath, because that's what I did with my goddaughter's one, as I did an A.A. Milne quote. So I just need to find something about the moon and stars or something I think will go really well. So yes, that is my progress on this. And I'd love to get a finish on this year. If I could get it to them for Christmas, I'd absolutely love that, actually. But obviously a lot of work left. And something that I've really enjoyed about this one as well is the working from a paper chart and colour completing certain bits in the middle. It just reminded me of how I used to stitch when I first started cross stitching, and it just, yeah, it's made me very happy stitching on this one. I don't think I said I'm stitching 2/2 with the called for DMC. So yeah, really excited about that. So I come back from Cornwall. During the time I was away, my husband was just pushing forward everything with the moving. He was absolutely fantastic. And so it was very much came back, hit the ground running. Everything just needed to be sorted. I needed to wrap up because I was transferring. So I was really lucky because the company I work for has an office in Edinburgh. And so I was just able to transfer. but I was trying to get all of my Manchester work sorted, while also trying to get everything sorted in our flat so we could move. And we ended up hiring moving vans because obviously it's a 4-hour drive, and we just wanted everything up in a one. We didn't want to faff about driving to and from Scotland. We tried to plan it out, and it meant that we'd be in the car for 3 weekends, and it just really was not worth it. So we were basically just trying to get the flat tidied up, ready for them to be able to come in and move everything for us. And so for the rest of August, I was stitching on and off, but I wasn't really like committing or convincingly stitching, I would say. But one of the projects that I was working on, because I don't know if you will remember, but in my last video, I said I wanted this done for our wedding anniversary, which was the 3rd of July. And obviously it didn't get done because I wasn't stitching very much. So it's fine, but I would still like to get this done as soon as possible. Where I've got, if I have a picture from before, I'll put it in here. But I will put in a picture of what it's supposed to look like at the end. This is my Link and Zelda piece by Unique Door Sign. And this is where I am now. So last time I'd done the green, the darker green, and this time I filled in the olivey colours and the whites, because I was trying to colour complete on this. And so I started on the skin, I got bored, and so I started on the hair, and then I got bored again. I don't know why I have such trouble with this one, if I'm honest, because I really want it done, because I think it looks really good. This is stitched on another Chromatic Alchemy linen 32 count Glacier 2/2. They're called for DMC, and it's so nearly done. I don't know why I'm not doing it, because after this it's just some words underneath, and then I'm going to add in our wedding date. I just need to get it done. The linen, it's a bit more turquoisey. I can never get it to show up right, but I just think it's so cute. And this will form part of my plans, but I will go through that at the end. So yeah, I was working a little bit on that pattern, and every now and again I would also pick up, excuse the rustling, I would also pick up my final tree from Caterpillar Cross Stitch, because like I say, I've nearly got all 4 done, and I just want to get them done for so I can finish them as the set. And so again, I was picking this one up sporadically, but then started to really fall in love with it. And actually, by this point, so yeah, I'll just keep going with the story time. By this point, we had started moving, and we had just started settling in our new house. So this was the first week of September, and we had some time off work so that we can get everything moved in and everything ready. And we had a few trips to IKEA, because we had to fill a big, because we moved from a flat in Manchester to a house here, so we had a few things to fill up. And my parents-in-law very kindly bought us a garden furniture set, and we were so excited to have a garden because we've not had any outdoor space, and just the thought of taking our coffee outside in the morning, we were just really, really excited for. And we are so fortunate that we've been able to find a house that allows us to do this. We've been so lucky with everything that's been going on. And so one afternoon, it was really gorgeous sunshine outside, and I just sat on the garden table with my Hello Petal cross stitch, just stitching, and it was just, yeah, it was, after the kind of stresses of the summer, it was just such a lovely moment just to sit and enjoy. So yeah, I've been working on this. This one's been bringing me quite a lot of joy, so I've been working on this a fair amount. Again, I will put in a picture of where I was before, and I think, yeah, this is what it will look like at the end. And if I've got a picture, I'll pop it in of where I was before. And this is where I am now. So I think you'll be able to guess my plan. I am stitching all of the little motifs, and then I'm going to come back and fill in the animals. And I'm very aware that it is the animals that always take the longest because they are so much bigger than you expect them to be. But I'm still deciding what colours I want to do them in, because I've seen a number of people, Beth Chadwick, Shan at Craftivating Creations, Emma at MX Stitching, and Jo at Belushi Stitches are ones that screamed to me immediately. They've changed the colour of the rabbit to a grey, and they've changed the tones, I think, of the mouse as well, so that the mouse is brown, so that it's a bit more like muted and a bit more kind of natural, I guess. And so I thought they looked really, really, really nice. And then I was thinking about, where will these hang in the future? And what kind of picture do I want? Because obviously the summer one is really bright because it's really summery. And then I really, really was enjoying that. And so I was thinking, actually, the bunny is bright pink, or it's this pastel-y pink, which is perfect for springtime. And so actually, what if I made the mouse purple? Which obviously isn't in keeping with a natural mouse, but it would be very springy. And the chick's already yellow, which is nice and springy. And so I'm still trying to decide if I want a big purple mouse and a big pink bunny, or if I want a nice grey bunny and a brown mouse. So I'm still deciding. If you have any opinions, let me know. Because I just cannot make up my mind. And so it'll be a while before I get there anyway, but that is where I am now. But I've really been enjoying working on that, and I feel close to finish on that one. So that'll be good to get finished this year as well. So yes, we were fully set up in Edinburgh. We were getting settled, and all of a sudden I started to feel like I was getting my mojo back a bit. But I also had a crisis, and I feel like, oh, crisis is a very dramatic word. I feel like only a stitcher can say this is a crisis. But essentially, I think I've got about, I don't know, 17 to 20 WIPs now. I can't really remember. And every time I look at my dragon, which I will be showing you, don't worry. Every time I look at my dragon, in my head, I see my Stitch Pal counter, which is an app where basically you put in the total number of stitches, and every time you stitch in it, you say how many stitches you've done. And it calculates when you will finish the project. And the dragon is not going to be finished until 2039, I think, if I keep going the way I'm going. And that was getting me really stressed. And I know it's self-inflicted because I've downloaded the app, but I'm also, like I say, I'm a bit of I like a bit of control. And so if I know when I'm going to finish it, then I feel more comfortable. But it was actually stressing me out a bit. And so I had a bit of a, oh my God, I just need to finish everything so that I can just focus on my dragon. Because I've also been watching Lauren at Flosstabilities for a while, and I love her full coverage pieces, which she's finished them all now. All of her 3 Chris Dunn ones. And I am seconds away from, if she had shown them for another like week or two, I think I would have just gone and bought them from Pain Free Crafts, because there are 3 of his that I really, really love and would really like to stitch. I also want to do a companion piece to my dragon, because the Margarita Dragon is my dragon, and I really want to do the old-fashioned dragon for my husband. But I want them displayed together, and so I need to get that one done as well. And so it was just all of these thoughts where I was like, well, if I finish everything I have, then I can only work on my dragon, and she'll be done in 2 years, not 15. But that was 1 week. The next week, I was like, well, if I work on my dragon for a whole week every month, then she'll still get done, but I'll still be able to, I won't have to finish everything first. And then the week after that was, I've got all of this, I've got these kits I've bought, I've got these charts, I've kitted up some projects, and I'm not starting them. Why am I not starting them? And so I started stuff. And then the week after that, I was like, just buy the full coverages and just start them all. So it's been I say weeks. This is probably every 3 days I was changing my mind, because we've only been in Scotland for 3 weeks. So yes, it was lots of choppy changes, and what I'm about to show you is the result of all of these changes. So the first thing I will show you is, of course, my marvellous dragon. Let me just get out the picture. So this is my Margarita Dragon. The artwork is by Sandy Morrison and it's charted by Pain Free Crafts. I will insert a picture of where I was before. And so here we are now. And so I just finished this diagonal up here. So I've made quite a lot of progress. Considering I've not been stitching, I finished the head horns. And then I was stitching diagonally, but it was quite strange because there's no blue in here because this is the yellow part of the head. I don't know if you might be able to see on the needle minder. That's the yellow bit there. So this is all the yellow bit. So there was no blue, and so I didn't want to have to cut off all of my threads and mess around with that. And so I started coming around and doing the shape of the neck. And then I was like, oh, why don't I just keep doing cross country then? And so I stitched out all of my diagonal part threads that were here. And then found that I was missing, because there's so much confetti and there's so many single stitches, there was just loads of little bits up here that I was just missing. Not that I was missing stitches, but I wasn't coming back to do those stitches. And so I started diagonally again. But I'm going diagonally in the other direction now because then I get this background done and it kind of feeds in a bit more easily because on Pattern Keeper, I absolutely love, you can change the angle of the diagonal lines as many times as you want. And so I originally had the diagonal lines this way on the pattern and now I've got them going that way. And so I can just see where the stitches all lie. And so I've started going the other way diagonally. So I'll bring her forward. So yeah, really, really loving. I still am absolutely obsessed. There's just so much confetti in the head that I'm not making very quick progress when I do work on it. But I am hoping that when I get over to this background bit, there's fewer and fewer colours, and so it isn't quite as it won't be quite as difficult to make progress. But I can't get the lighting quite right to get the colours. There you go. Isn't she fabulous? Oh, I just love her. So I still don't know how I'm going to manage this so I finish it before 2039, but she is still getting stitches into her. So that's progress is progress, regardless of how long it takes. So now onto my string of starts. I'm still not quite sure what prompted this. There was one night last week where I decided I'd started a project a little while ago on Ada. Decided I was never gonna finish it. UFO'd it. So I had this bit of Ada, and then decided this wasn't even on a wish list, but I really like the shop Peppermint Purple, and I did their Inclusive Pride design before, and I'll pop a quick picture of what it was, but they do a lot of blackwork designs, and I follow them on Instagram and I browse their website quite regularly, and I really like sets of things, and they have quite a lot of sets. They do different themes. They have a hints of and a study in, insert a colour here, and just decided I was going to buy one. Obviously it's PDF, doesn't matter what floss you use, you can do it in any colour, and just start it. And so I bought this, the one called Study in Teal, and I'll pop a quick picture in of what it looked like when it's done. Obviously you're supposed to use teal because it's Study in Teal, and I love the DMC teals. I'm not using the one she has charted because you don't know what colour thread it is before you buy it, and I didn't have it and I wanted to start it straight away because I was just in that mood. And so this is where I've got to. And I just absolutely love the look of it. I really, really like blackwork. So I'm stitching this one strand of thread over 18 count Ada. Just using the PDF pattern. And so it's a lot of repetition. So once you get into 2 of them, you can just kind of keep working around quite easily. And so I'm really excited to start moving into the center. But that is where I am now. I'm going to have to put in what DMC thread I'm using because I cannot remember off the top of my head. But that is where I am. So I've really, really been enjoying that one. And then on the same evening, this is when I started to feel like, oh, well, if I've started that, why am I not starting all of the projects I have? And so I went into my kit stash and, excuse the noise, started an Owl Forest embroidery kit that I've had for ages and that I've wanted for ages, which is their Hyperborea. And I got it in 3 different boxes. And so I'll pop up a picture of the one I'm currently working on. And I've not made loads of progress on this, but I have made I didn't realise the links in the middle is enormous. Or it feels enormous when I'm stitching anyway. And so I made a start on the links, and this is where I am. Ooh, that's not looking... That's a bit better. And so I don't think you'll be able to tell because it is very subtle, but there is light blue variegation through the white. And so I've just got his first 2 paws here with his knees. And then this is the needle minder that comes in the kit to match your links here. And so yeah, this is my small little start on Hyperborea. So yes, was just quite glad to get that one started, even though I'm also panicking about when I'm going to get my dragon done. But that is for future Sarah to worry about. Present Sarah was having a fabulous time. And then my last start is actually a restart for the second time of a chart that I've wanted to stitch for a while. And so this feeds into my full coverage, what's the word? Considerations. Basically, obviously I love my dragon. I want to stitch loads more. I want to stitch a lot more full coverages. But I know for a fact that all of the full coverages that I want to stitch, I'm not going to be able to stitch full cross if I want to get them finished this century. So my dragon is stitched 2/1 full cross on 18 count. I didn't say that before, sorry. But I know a lot of people that do tent stitch to do their full coverages. And I've always been a bit worried about a lack of definition with tent stitch. Meaning, because sometimes full coverages, there are certain areas that aren't as well defined because of all the different colour stitches and everything like that. But I started a full coverage piece, a much smaller full coverage piece a little while ago called Visit the Shire by Cottage, oh, what are they called? I cannot, Country Magic Stitch maybe. I'll pop in the name. And I started it on 2/1, 18 count by Ada. And this is like, I'll show you very briefly. This is my initial start. It's all crumpled now because it's just been in the bottom of the bag. But it's lots of blues, it's lots of skies. Oh, actually, I'll pop a quick, this is what it will look like at the end. I'll put in a picture now. But you can see it's all blue and then all of a sudden you have the Hobbit hole. And so I started on the sky and I hated the way my stitches were. I don't know how easily you'll be able to tell, but they're very, very lumpy. And then I made the mistake of keeping a hoop on there for too long and it flattened it in like a big circle. Again, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it flattened a big circle, and because it's only 2 colours, it was so obvious. So I got cross. I was going to unpick it all and then I was like, life is too short. So I just cut it off the top. And I restarted it again on the same 18 count white Ada. But I tried doing proper diagonal, like I'm doing on my dragon, but proper diagonal. So 1 line at a time. In the blocks, and then restarting at the top and coming down every time. And the stitches were looking better. I don't know if they are anymore because they've been a bit in the bag for a while, but they were looking a lot better. But it was just taking so long. And I started at the same time because I've got the Visit Mordor piece as well, because I wanted the Shire to Mordor. And so I decided to do it all at the same time. This is the piece that my teal is now on, you'll see there. I'll pop in a quick picture of what it will look like when it's done. But I wanted them to be done together. And so was really enjoying stitching on them. But it just felt like progress was really, really slow. I think for this one, on Visit the Shire, I'd done 500 stitches, which is like 2% or 3%. And so I thought these would be perfect ones to try tent stitch on, because they're not massive. I think they're like 120 by 170, which compared to some Hades, like Heaven and Earth designs, is nothing. And if I don't like them, it doesn't really matter, because it's more, I just love Lord of the Rings, and so I wanted to do a Lord of the Rings piece rather than liking the look of them, if that makes sense. And so I restarted. I bought an ivory even weave because Stitches by Shelby is currently doing, what's it called? Contessa with a Squid? Something along those lines. And she is stitching that on an ivory fabric because ivory shows through less than white. And so I thought, well, if I'm trying a tent stitch, then I'll try the ivory even weave as well. And so I restarted Visit the Shire, and this is where I got to. And so this, I am doing continental tent stitch 2/1 on 28 count ivory Lugana from Zweigart. And what I mean, and so I watched a few videos because I didn't really understand what tent stitch was. And so what I mean when I say continental tent stitch, I don't really know, because it's quite small, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, I know this camera isn't great, so I don't know how much detail you'll be able to see this in. But this is the back. And I don't know if you can see that. Basically what it means is if I'm going up from the bottom left corner to the top right corner, my next stitch will be going backwards from the bottom left to the right. And so you're constantly pulling one way. And then the row above, I'm going down from the top right corner to the bottom left corner and moving right. And so you're constantly pulling it the other way. And it's supposed to stop warping. I don't know if it will, but I figured I'd give it a try. And holy shit, tent stitch is so fast. Bearing in mind on the previous one I did, I got 500 stitches total. I worked on this last night and got 500 stitches in like 2 or 3 hours. Because it's not just the fact it's only half a stitch, it's the fact that you're not rethreading your needle every 50 stitches, and it's like all of that kind of stuff as well, which you just don't really think about. So, yes. Really, really happy I've restarted this. I think I'm already like 8% in, and I've only been working on it for a week, and I think I've only picked it up for like 3 or 4 days. But yeah, really, really enjoying that. I didn't start with the sky again because I'd already done the sky twice and just couldn't bring myself to start there again. So that's where I've got. I think I'm going to finish this one in its entirety though before starting on the Mordor one, just to see if I like it. And this is from the Nerdy Needle Design Company, I think. Just one of the pins given to the Hobbits by Lady Galadriel. So that is all of my stitching. Woo! Oh, it feels good to show you all everything again. I feel like I've probably got my stitchy bug back. I'm really enjoying the projects I'm working on at the moment. I'm not stressing too much about my dragon. And yeah, I'm just it just feels good to be settled. I'm getting back into work, so nothing's too busy yet, but I feel like it will be manageable when it does get busy. And yeah, feeling a lot happier. So thank you very much for your patience in while I've been away. Something that has helped me get it back into the stitchy mood is watching Flosstube again. I didn't watch it for like 2 or 3 months. And I was going on to my Stitchy channel just to see who'd uploaded and saved it to a playlist. So I've been slowly catching up with everybody. Someone I've been thoroughly enjoying watching the last 2 weeks is Imogen, who is at Imogen X Stitch. And there's just something about watching their channel where you just feel the passion they have for their stitching. They've done some amazing, really creative conversions. One of the ones that stands out to me is the Barbara Anna Designs Dreaming Girl Sal. They just completely, they took the base of the design and just added so much to it. It was just amazing. I think they also got a lot of love for their modern folk embroidery Fruits of Plenty Sal, because they stitched on this incredibly tealy blue fabric with black and white, and it's just, the effect is amazing. Yeah, I think they're fantastic. I really, really enjoy watching their channel, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of their projects. They also turned me on to Helen, who is at the Diddy Stitcher, and I watched her most recent video and saw a finished object in the background that said "fuck the Tories," and I was like, okay. And then she pulled a tarot card, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is where I want to be. Hello, editing Sarah here. Just rewatching this, and I'm worried that my okay is going to come across wrong. What I mean by that is that I saw it, and I was like, yes, Helen, 100% here for that. Fuck the Tories. I completely agree with you, and I appreciate the sentiment. And I just wanted to include this little bit to make sure that wasn't coming across wrong. Okay, thank you. And so I went back and watched all of her videos from 2022, and she's got such a wide variety of projects, and she's just really entertaining to watch. So I would highly recommend that you go and check both of them out, because they are both absolutely fantastic. And they've really helped me get back into stitching again. So thank you very much to both of you. I think we can now talk about plans, because I actually have plans, yay! Needless to say, I think the last 3 videos I've made, none of the plans have panned out, but I'm feeling good about these. So on the 1st of October, the WIPs Be Gone challenge is starting, and it runs from 1st of October to the 30th of November. It's hosted by the Devoted Quilter on Instagram, and I think it's run, I don't know how many years it's run for, but it's definitely was running last year. And I thought that it would actually be really helpful for me to get motivated to bust these WIPs. And I have created a spreadsheet, because God knows I love my spreadsheets, listing out the dates and what WIPs I'm going to work on what date. So I'm removing the decision-making process and going through finishes, but by going through my WIPs to get finishes. Oh, sorry, all my words are running into one now. But my plans are, for the first week, I want to finish Link and Zelda, because I don't think there's that much time. And if I have the time to stitch, I think I could get through that in a week, maybe. So that's my first one. Once I finish that, I'm going to move on to Hello Petal, and I'm going to finish Hello Petal. Once I do that, I am going to move on to Crescent Dreams, work on it for a week, and see how far I get. And see how I feel. Once that's done, actually, if bear with me one second, I'll just get them out. Okay, I'm back. So once I've done my week on Crescent Dreams, I am going to go to my Winter Wonderland piece. I'm going to work on that for a week and see how far I get, because there's lots of blank space, but equally this bottom right hand corner is a lot of stitching. So I might be able to make some good progress on that. Once I've done my week on that, I'm going to do the fox and work for a week on that. And again, this is where I am. This may as well have been a WIP parade at this point. And see how far I get on the fox for a week. Once I've worked on all 3 of those, I'm going to pick one to finish completely. And then I'm just going to see what date we're on and see if I finish it within the time frame. I will then pick up the next one and try and get that one done. But ultimately, what happens. And I think I've learned the lesson that putting pressure on my sewing never really goes well for me, because I'm just like, what's the point? I'm not going to get it done. So yes, those are my thoughts for the months of October and November. I know it means I won't be able to work on my dragon, but the more I finish now, the more I'll be able to work on my dragon. And I'm thinking that maybe I'll have a Christmassy December, and next year I will come up with an actual plan that will last for 3 months or whatever, I don't even know. But I'll come up with a plan that will help me do my dragon quicker. Or I'll just start more full coverages and screw it. We will see. So those are my thoughts. Inevitably I'll jump in and on and off other stuff. But I'm hoping for some good progress on those WIPs at least, if not finishes. So that is everything. I feel like I've been talking for ages, but I don't know how long this video will actually be. Thank you again so much for spending some time with me. I am really excited to be back. I feel so much better now, and I'm really glad I did take that break, even though during the time it just felt like pure stress. So thank you for listening to me. Thank you for having a look at my stitching. If you've got any questions at all, please let me know. And otherwise, I will hopefully catch up with you again soon. I'm not going to make any promises, but hopefully it'll be before the end of this year. Thank you very much again, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.